Setting up the bomb site is one of the most important things for any defensive team to do properly. You need to be able to cut off important lines of sight for the attacker so that you can rotate safely throughout the bomb site without having to worry about dying. And while the best operators to help you accomplish this task are Castle and Azami. So in today's video, I'll be pitting them against each other to determine who is the best line of sight blocker in Rainbow Six Siege. I'll be doing this by rating them both out of 10 in 4 key categories. The categories are gadget, loadout, secondary gadget, and versatility, same as usual. Then at the end of the video, I'll be adding up their scores to come to a verdict, so make sure you watch it till the end to find out the winner. Now to start off the video, I'll be going over Castle since he was released first. Castle's gadget is his reinforced barricades. These barricades allow Castle to barricade a doorway or a window with a bulletproof material that can only be destroyed with 12 melees or explosives. This is an extremely strong gadget in the right hands. However, in the hands of an inexperienced player, these barricades can hurt your team more than help. The reason this is the case is because if a Castle player decides that they want to barricade every door to the bomb site, which trust me, this happens a lot at lower ranks, then you are screwed. Your roamers won't be able to rotate back into the bomb site and the attackers will get map control for free without having to worry about your team swinging them. If you guys want to see me do a more in-depth guide into Castle, let me know in the comments. He is one of my favorite operators in the game and I'd be happy to do it, but this is not how you should play Castle. You want to be using his barricades to block lines of sight into the bomb site by barricading important windows and barricading specific doors to go along with your strat. If you play Castle like this around an entire strategy, he is strong, but this typically requires a 5 stack and a lot of coordination with your team. Overall though, I think he is worthy of a 9 out of 10 in the gadget category, just because of how strong his gadget can be. Moving past his gadget and onto his loadout, this is where Castle's problems begin to rear their ugly head. Castle has access to the UMP submachine gun and the M1014 shotgun as primary options, and the 5.7 handgun, the Super Shorty shotgun, and the M45 Musoc as secondary options. The UMP45 is kind of awful if I'm being honest. As you guys saw in my SMG ranking video, this thing's damage output is kind of terrible, and sure, it has a 1.5 and the extended barrel makes it better, but still with such a low fire rate, the gun would have to deal a stupid amount of damage to be good. This is definitely a high skill weapon that requires a lot of commitment to get good with, since you have to hit headshots to win most gunfights, but it can still be decent in the right hands if you have that kind of skill. As for the M1014, this is a decent shotgun, especially for a semi-auto, but since Castle already has a secondary shotgun, this option is kind of pointless. You always want an automatic primary if possible, so the UMP is obviously going to be the predominant option, and the Super Shorty can act as the rotate capability for Castle. As for his secondaries, the 5.7 USG is an awful pistol. Its damage output is kind of trash, but to make up for it, the game has given it a large capacity for a handgun. But let's be real, you rarely need a lot of ammo in your secondary, so this trade-off is not worth it at all. As for the Super Shorty, this is definitely the secondary you want to be running. It allows Castle to set up the bomb site in preparation for his barricades to be placed down, and it also allows your other teammates to not have to worry about bringing a shotgun. However, if you're bringing the Super Shorty as additional firepower, you will be disappointed since the Super Shorty's damage drop-off is so extreme. Then, his final secondary, the M45 Musoc, is definitely a good, hard-hitting handgun, but his secondary shotgun brings way more utility, so the fact that he has a good pistol doesn't really matter in the long run. Overall, taking everything into account about his loadout, I'll be giving him a 4 out of 10 in the loadout category. After his loadout, it is now time to talk about the secondary gadgets Castle has available. At the time of recording, he has the choice between a bulletproof camera and proximity alarms. Both are decent options. The bulletproof camera, if placed properly, can provide your team with a ton of intel before it is destroyed. You can place it on a flank to watch your back while you're holding a different part of the bomb site, or you can place it near common entryways like Study on Villa to give your team info to swing off of. No matter how you place your bulletproof camera though, it can give you some decent utility. But his proximity alarms are solid as well. I used to hate proximity alarms, but the more I use them on Castle, the more I realize their hidden strength. Prox alarms are mainly useful as a replacement for barbed wire. You can throw them down above a staircase or a window jump in, and they will provide you with audio intel when an attacker walks inside their radius. You can use them to either swing an attacker when you hear the audio, or to just warn you of an attacker being on your flank. Either way, they can provide you with decent value. So overall, I'll be giving him a 5 out of 10 in the secondary gadget category. Now for the final category, versatility. This is another area that Castle suffers with. Since Castle has to be picked when your entire team has a strat in mind, it makes him extremely reliant on you being in a 5 stack. And he also relies on other operators like Jaeger and Mute to defend his barricades. Also on top of this, he is kind of a one-trick pony. He only brings utility to the team, but on an individual level, he brings no firepower, which in the modern day of Siege makes him pretty hard to justify. So I'll be giving him a 3 out of 10 in the versatility category. Okay, now that we have finished talking about Castle, I can now discuss Azami. Azami's gadget is her Kibas, which when thrown, they will begin to expand into a large concrete-like substance that can only be destroyed with 3 melees or explosives. As you can tell, this sounds very similar to Castle, but her Kibas are stronger than Castle barricades in my opinion. The reason for this is because not only can her gadget be used to block lines of sight and waste attacker utility like Castle barricades, but they can also be used to create angles that give her team an advantage in gunfights, and they can be used to fill breaches that the attackers make. All of these different ways to use her gadget gives her a huge skill ceiling, which means she has the same problem as Castle. If you put her gadget in the hands of an inexperienced player, her Kibas can actually do more harm than good. So you have to watch out for that, but I'm sure everyone knows already that her gadget is by far the best available on the defensive side. So I won't be docking her points for the skill ceiling issue. Overall, she definitely deserves a 10 out of 10 in the gadget category, and I would give her a higher score if I could. Now we can talk about the second category, Azami's loadout. Azami has access to the VSN submachine gun and the ACS-12 slug shotgun as primary options, and the Desert Eagle as her only secondary. The VSN submachine gun is a solid SMG, as I discussed in the SMG video I recently posted. It has jumpy recoil, but its actual stats are great, and honestly, with the right attachments, you can alleviate some of that recoil. As for the ACS-12, this is a gimmicky meme gun at best. It has insane destructive capability, which makes it fun for people who are trying to play casually. But if you are taking the game seriously, the VSN is a much more consistent option for winning gunfights. Then for her secondary, the Desert Eagle, this thing hits like a truck, as we all know, but it does have the downside of having some additional recoil compared to other handguns. However, if you practice the recoil, it really isn't that bad. Also, I almost forgot to mention that the Desert Eagle also has additional destructive capability. So you can make makeshift head holes and foot holes if your team doesn't bring a shotgun. So with all of this into account, I think Azami is worthy of an 8 out of 10 in the loadout category. Now, it is time to move on to the secondary gadget category. Azami, at least at the time of recording, has access to impact grenades and barbed wire. Both of these are excellent options. Impact grenades can be used to deal with attacker utility or to open rotates in the bomb site, and barbed wire is needed on most bomb sites to stop attackers from rushing without you knowing. So, since she has 2 good options, I'll be giving her a 7 out of 10 in this category. Now, for the final category, versatility. Azami is by far the most versatile out of the 2 operators in this video. Her gadget can be used in a huge variety of situations, and she doesn't need a 5-stack to be used effectively. She also is not map or bomb site dependent like Castle. So overall, I think she deserves a 10 out of 10 in this category, and it's not even questionable. Now to answer the question you click on the video for, who is the best operator? Well, let's go to the scores. After adding up the points from every category, Castle was left with a score of 21 out of 40, and Azami was left with a score of 35 out of 40. So Azami clearly took the W on this. I don't think any of you will be surprised by this, but don't take that scoring as Castle being bad, because he really isn't. He is just situational and takes a lot of skill and coordination to use properly. He's still one of my favorite operators to use in strategies, and he's still extremely useful in a pro league or 5-stack situation. As always, this video is strictly my opinion, and if you disagree, feel free to leave your opinions in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, I make Siege content just like this twice a week, so go subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss the next upload. If you want to watch another video just like this one, I'll be popping up on your screen right now where I compare the roaming operators of Rainbow Six Siege. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.